everybody, this is Julia Laird with Senior Susie Stamps. Welcome to my studio. I'm so glad you're here today. We're going to concentrate on some very simple cards that I've made recently and posted on some Facebook groups that I belong to. And Cindy asked me to make an instructional video on these, and these are the cards. We'll get a close-up look at them in just a second. But it uses a technique that's been around for a while where you put ink on an acrylic block and use it as a stamp. So let's get started. Come on.
And these are the cards that I made that brought that request up. So I thought I would start that today, but I wanted to show you first of all where I got my inspiration, and it was out of this 2007 publication from Stamper's Sampler Take 10, and the article was A Patch of Sky, which was some cards that were done by Tilly McLeod, and I know I mispronounced that, I'm sorry, but she's from New Zealand, and I thought they were pretty, and she used a little, what she called a distressed background block, which of course I didn't have, but I thought, you know what, I can use my ink block to do that, and so I tried it, and let me show you what I did. I used the grid side. Somewhere recently I have seen a post somewhere on Facebook about using the grid side of these for a stamping block, and I thought, well, that looks pretty cool, so I thought I would try it. My desk here is just a little uneven because I have Velcro underneath my mat. In order for me to stay in frame, I had to resort to Velcroing my mat down so that you all could see my work. Otherwise, I yank it out of frame and get my nose up in it. You know how it goes. Okay, so this is just really super easy to do. I'm using some Distress ink. This happens to be shaded lilac. And I'm just going to make a sky scene here, and you all can see how it works. Well, it may be a sky, it may be, who knows what it'll be. This is the kind of fun thing about having a few of these on hand. You can do really whatever you want to with them. And all I'm doing now is just dragging that ink pad across. And if you want to make some hill face or something, you can kind of curve it a little bit. And then I'm just going to lay my block down kind of centered like you would a focal point, and that's what we're doing. We're just creating that background to draw your eye in. Now today I thought I would try something a little different than what I've been doing with these, and if you just let it sit for just a few seconds, then the ink transfers, and so you can kind of see the little grid lines, which just gives that just a little bit more interest, I think. Okay, so that part of the process is done. I'm going to set this one aside to dry up, and I kind of want to work on these a little bit. I'm going to start with this green one. Now this is called Old Paper. It's Distress ink, and I thought it would be fun, since I just did a little short video on how I store my stencils. I thought it would be fun to use a stencil today and do kind of an overlay on that. So that's what I'm going to work on. Now I like to, my little Dollar Tree cutting board when I do wet stuff like this, because I don't care if it gets nasty. You know, you got to have stuff in your craft area that you just don't care too much about, and this is one of those things that they're two for $1, so if mine just gets really ugly, I'll just replace it. This is removable labeling tape, and I use it for all manner of different things. But today, I'm going to use a couple of pieces to tie this down. I'm sorry I knocked that light, and I probably knocked it right in frame, didn't I? Well, I think it's okay. Cindy asked for me to do this little video, and I really appreciate it when you all ask for things. If you want more details on something that I've done, I'm really pleased to be able to show you anything that I have created. I just feel like the more we create art in the world, the less ugliness there is in the world. So I want to kind of make these monochromatic a little bit today, and I'm going to go ahead and try this old paper ink again. And I may regret this, but I think I'm going to do ink to paper just like this and see if that's going to work or not. I don't know if it will. And it doesn't really look like it, does it? Okay. So then we're going to get, hang on a second. I like these. I got a loose hair. Oh, well, that's a cat hair. No, it isn't either. Sorry, Snickers. I have two cats. One is Cordelia. Oh, stay where you're supposed to stay. I didn't get tape on that, did I? I'll have to hold that. That's okay. One of them is Cordelia, and the other one is Snickers. They're both of them spoiled rotten. Let me tell you what. And we have 3 dogs. They're all... Hey, don't stick your claw in me, you hussy. I'm busy. Now, I don't think that dark up there is going to bother me. It may when we pull the stencil and see. I don't know if y'all can see it or not, but Snickers is down here trying to get my attention. She'll reach up here and grab at stuff here in a minute. You know how these kitties are. They just kind of like to fool around with our craft stuff, don't they? Alright. Now, I'm thinking that's going to be a nice little addition to that card. I don't mind that at all. I might put a little darker spot here and there just to kind of even that card out a little bit, so that it doesn't look so dark up in there. This is, oh, I moved it, so that's done. I'm through with that now. Alright, let's see what that looks like. Now, I've got my little soaking tray over here, and I am going to put this stencil over there in just a second. Oh, now see, that's kind of cool, actually. I'm going to go back in and see about doing a little pen work on that. On a couple of these leaves, I'm just going to do a little doodling through the stencil. Use the stencil lines to do that. I'm going to use a black Sharpie because I think it kind of helps to bring the eye into that area. And it adds a little interest. You know, when you're card making, really the whole thing is just to be creative. I try not to copy things directly, primarily because, well, I'm not very good at it. I get kind of bored. But I also think art's not made to be copied. It's made to be a jumping off point. And we may not like this at all. In which case, I have a trash can sitting right next to me. I've done this little doodling through the stencil before and had some really cool results. I ought to show you some of those someday. It's a little, it takes just a little minute to do, but it doesn't take long. Let's do this one down here, and then we're going to be done, because I don't want to do all of them. Let's do this one up here. The most fun stencil that I did this with is these fish over here. I don't know if you can see them or not. They're kind of out of the way. All right, let's see how that looks. Let's see if it's going to be trash fodder or not. Oh, no, now, see? I'm kind of liking that a little bit. I might go back and do all of those. That looks pretty cool to me. All right, it's my card, so I reckon I'll do what I want to with it. Oh, well, here we go. Julia's on a roll. That's okay. Y'all get to know me. Come on now. Stay where you're supposed to stay. I like that. Did you? Let me know in the comments. Leave me a comment. Won't come back here. Silly thing. See, I should have taped my card down, but I wanted it to go all the very way to the edge. Now, here we are. We're making progress now. It won't take me but just another minute to do this, and okay, I'm almost finished. We'll pull this back and see how that works. And I'm finished with this stencil, so I'm going to go ahead and put this over in my soaking tray. Where'd you go? Oh, I left it in the sink. Hang on, let me go get it. Good grief, Julia, I swear. Sometimes when I get ready to do a little video, I don't have all my ducks quite in a row yet. So I'm thinking that as far as a background for a card, this is pretty much done. That's a small base. Let me get a regular base. I have standard A2 size bases that are already cut, ready to roll. Oh yeah, I think that's going to be really nice. And see how that background that I stamped originally kind of just draws your eye in a little bit. Well, let's be thinking about a sentiment to go on that. You know, I'm thinking that might be a good birthday card for a man. It's kind of natural and neutral, natural. There you go. So I'm going to set that one aside and work on this one's dry now. So I think we'll work on this one next. I think we're going to try this stamp on there. This is a Love You to Bits stamp I bought used. I don't know what the date is on it. It's not got a date on it. But anyway, I thought maybe that one might kind of work on there. And then we'll use these birds again from Lavinia. They make a really nice disappearing bird image. Remember these from that original card here. And I think I'm going to use VersaFine black ink on these. And get my little stamp pad going here. And I believe I'm going to put me a little piece of scratch paper up underneath, because I'm going to stamp this off just a little bit off the edge here. Okay, let me get my VersaFine. And I believe I'm going to make this into a sympathy card like that other one was. And I'm hoping that I won't have to pull this stamp and remount it. I don't think I've put any ink on this stamp since I got it. I got a lot of used stamps from eBay. People sell them because, you know, they're tired of them or whatever. All right, here we go. I'm going to let that rest for just a second. And then we'll pull it up. Yeah, I think that's going to be fine. And my little Lavinia birds, where'd you go? Come on. Lavinia has a nice little way of, well, I guess a lot of stamp companies do. But you can see, isn't that going to be pretty coming off of there? Yeah, I like that. All right. The only thing you got to make sure is you get your birds going right ways up. Otherwise, it's just not a good thing. All right, here we go. There. Now, I'm going to go back and do a with sympathy on that. And I think because this is a little smaller card front base than this one is, so I don't have room to put it on there. I'm going to stamp it on white, and you'll see in the end. But I'm going to go ahead and cover up my ink pad so I don't get it on me. You've seen that before. And will again, I'm telling you, it's just the way it is. I was going to tell you that I keep some fronts cut, and this is these are both A2 size, but this is the first layer down, which would be 4 by 5 1/4, and then these are 3 3/4 by 5, and so this one is one of those. It has a little texture to it, and I'm going to mount that up onto one of these, so it's going to be a triple layer card, and then I'm going to put it up on top of the card base. So let's go ahead and do that, and you'll kind of get the idea of what the card's going to look like in the end. And then I'll go ahead and stamp that sentiment. You all know how to do that. Oops, come on now. I'm going to take some pictures of my craft desk because I have finally figured out how to get things organized so that they're very, very useful. Now, I'm not going to rub on that. I'm going to flip it over and rub, because that pigment ink, that VersaFine ink, sometimes it can be a little wet, and you sure don't want to rub on it. And then I'm going to go ahead and mount that up. See, that's pretty with that triple mount, isn't it? Looks like I need to trim just a little off that top to even it up. Let me get my trimmer. Oh. That's just a little too much. I got it set down too far. There, that'll look better. Okay. And we're going to mount this flat. Sometimes dimension really helps to make the card front, but sometimes it doesn't make any difference. And you can save your mounting tape and mount some of your cards flat, and it doesn't make any difference in the artistic outcome of it. Now I don't want to do the same thing I did. I want to pull it up a little bit there. And again, I will flip this over hard, and you'll see it's very similar to this one. Just different. Similar but different. Variations on a theme, I guess, huh? Okay. Now, let's see what we're going to do with this little bad boy here. I think on this one, see, this is a lighter weight paper. And I'm going to go ahead and mount this up onto another piece of that smooth white. And then I'm going to trim it off, and then I'm going to foam tape the whole thing up, because I think it's going to really make a statement on this card here. Now, I might just put a little small black edge around this. I don't know. Let's see how it looks. Now I just have to trim two. I have a Facebook page, Senior Susie Stamps, and if you all make any cards after seeing my videos, I wish you'd post them over there. I'd love to see what you're doing. It's fun to share. All right. Now, see, that just gives this nice structure, and we're going to mount this one up onto some foam. And then we're going to put a sentiment on it and be done. These are really sweet, easy cards. When you need a fast, easy card to make, remember this, because these are just really super simple to make. Now this one, you know, because of the inking and what, maybe wasn't, but that other one, you saw how long it took to make. What, 2 minutes? That's not bad for a card now, y'all. I'm just telling you. Okay, let's see how that does. I got a little spot right there I don't like. I'll trim that back just a tiny bit. Here we come. Come on now. Yeah. That's a great card base, y'all. We can use that for just about anything. So I was thinking on this card, I might like to add a little bit of this green old paper ink down into the trees just to give it a little more contrast. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And all I do is dampen my brush and pick up my ink that way. I seem to be able to control my brush just a little better than some of the pens that I have when I'm doing something that I just want a little light work on. These are grounding techniques, and all you're doing is just trying to make your image not look like it's floating out there. I'm going to go ahead and add just a little color back in behind this. And you may not be able to see it, but it is noticeable when you are looking at the card itself. And I'll probably go back and add just a little bit into those trunks in the base. So all I'm doing is just dabbing just a little blush of color in there. And that just really makes those trees stand out. Okay. That way they don't look quite so stamped on top. They kind of look more like they're in that background along with everything else. And I'm just dabbing that ink down in there. I love putting ink on paper. It just brings me so much pleasure to make cards. I give a lot of cards away because, you know, when you make as many cards as I do, you just can't send that many. People think you're goofy. If you send them 5 cards a week, you just can't do it. You got to find somebody to give them to. I make cards for the nursing homes and Meals on Wheels and all kinds of things. I have a group of couple of friends that are card makers. Now I don't know if you can see that color developing in there, but it just really looks much better. And you don't really notice that it's different so much than that background, but I think it looks really good. I'm going to go back in with just a little rich cocoa and do just a little trunk on these. Not a lot. It just doesn't take a whole lot when you're doing something in the background like this, but it does add a little definition. Let's see if I can find one coming up here. I think there's one right there. This reminds me of the trip that my husband and I made out to the redwoods. Fir trees always do. They're such majestic trees. Oh my goodness. I hope if you have an opportunity to see them in your lifetime, you'll do it, because if you don't, you're missing something remarkable. There, that's done. Oh, that just makes such a difference in that card. I'm glad I came back and did that. You know, sometimes I have found in the past that people tend to be a little nervous and afraid to do something to their cards. And look, this is just paper. It's just paper. And if it doesn't work, you can toss it in the bin and try something else. But I like that. I think it looks good. I'm going to work on that cinnamon and I'll show it to you in the end. Okay, well, so since I added some ink back to that other one, this little card said, well, I want some ink too. You ever had your cards talk to you? It's just crazy. Nuts. All right, we're going to add a little bit of this memento. What is it called? Good Lord. Rich cocoa. Ooh, I'd like to have a cup of rich cocoa, wouldn't you? I gave up sugar recently and it's just not any fun. Because I do love my sweets. But I struggle with them, I'm just telling you right now. We'll see if this helps this card or not, but I believe it's going to give just a little blush of color. In there. Started out being a monochromatic, didn't it? Ooh, well, okay. So I'm kind of liking this a little bit. You know, when you use a super fine paintbrush like this, you can put a little more wet down than you can with a big brush, and it doesn't warp your card. There it is. Oh, I kind of like that. Oh, well, I'm glad this card spoke to me. Okay. What do you think? I think so. Well, let's just do some more. Okay. And that's Snickers that you hear in the background. She's talking to me. I've got the door shut so that John knows not to come honking up here talking to me about coffee or something. It's about time for our coffee break. He'll have to wait just a minute. And Snickers will too. I'm in the zone here. Okay. She's kind of getting impatient, isn't she? This kitty wakes me up at about 5 o'clock in the morning wanting her breakfast. And she does it by wriggling the cord on my Venetian blinds. It's a stinker. I've tied those cords up with all manner of stuff, and she just acts like it's her mission at 5 o'clock in the morning to figure out how to untie those cords. All I'm doing is just adding just a little bit of shadow in there, and it really gives these leaves some depth. Now this is that one that you know I tried to ink through, and I think this is really going to finish that out some, don't you? Let's see what we get going here. And there we go. There. Don't forget me. I may be little, but I'm mighty. I'll be growing up into a big tree here soon. Okay. Oh, I like that so much better. I can't tell you. Wow. Well, all right then. Glad you all got to stay tuned for that. Just a little bit of rich cocoa. I have some inks over here that are my everyday go-to inks. Here they are. It's these. I just add them to all kinds of manner of things, and I keep them right here on my desk. And I use them absolutely all the time. I practically use, well, I know I use at least one of those on every card I make. So here are some with a little added color, and you can see I did the same thing with these chicks here. Now on this one I went back and used that 2-stamp stamp, and I added the same colors that I used here, plus a little bit of that old paper on the leaves. But here they are. All right, you see them finished in the end. Talk to you soon.
Here's a close-up at these cards. These are the first 3. Two of them are sympathy cards. And here's the 3 that we were working on today. This one, of course, is a sympathy card. I did turn this one into a birthday card. I think it turned out really nice. And then this final one is one that I worked on after we got finished. It's just the best fishes card. This is Julia Laird with Senior Susie Stamps. I'm glad you came and joined me today. Hope you'll come back real soon. See you then. Bye-bye.